Welcome to the Appleton Area School District Candidate Forum interview format for 2022 with Jim Bowman. Please introduce yourself, explain your connection to the Appleton Area School District, and why you are running for school board.
I am Jim Bowman, and I want to thank you for viewing this segment of the League of Women Voters Candidate Forum. This is my opportunity to explain why the Appleton Area School District is a top priority for me and I hope for you. I seek re-election because I want to help prepare our students for their future. Upon graduation, they will enter a world full of opportunity and risk. With the support of family, teachers, and the larger community, every student can succeed academically, socially, and emotionally. And I want our schools to lead this effort. I believe that different children learn differently. My son and daughter received an excellent education in the AASD, but the results were very different. My daughter achieved excellent grades and built healthy relationships with other students. My son struggled. In 6th grade, it was clear that his classmates were maturing at a faster rate than my son. By 8th grade, he was eating lunch alone in the school cafeteria. I want every kid to graduate prepared for the future. Those who struggle may need special assistance, and I want them to receive it. Thank you.
Our first question comes from Jonathan Dole. He's an 11th grader at Appleton Central High School.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Dahl. I'm an 11th grader at Appleton Central, and my question for you is, as an AASD school board member, what can you do to ensure that students feel wanted, welcomed, and comfortable at school when they come here to learn?
What a wonderful question, and it relates back to the vision that I mentioned a minute ago, that we want every kid to graduate academically, socially, and emotionally in good health. And feeling included and feeling welcome is a big part of that. We need to make sure that everybody that on our staff, that includes the teachers, that includes the principals, all administrators are thinking about what we want our ultimate goal to be, and that's those kids walking off the stage at age 18, ready for the future, so that they are ready to walk into a job interview, shake a hand, look the interviewer in the eye, and build a relationship. So everything we can do to make kids feel welcome is a big deal. One way is offering all sorts of opportunities for them. That includes the co-curriculars as well as the academics. So finding an activity that the student really appreciates and enjoys and has passion for. So maybe it's sports, maybe it's theater, maybe it's music. So one advantage of the current school district is that we offer a wide variety of academics and co-curricular activities that can appeal to a wide variety of kids. And we need to make sure that every kid is connected to one of those activities.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Nimrat Sadi, senior and editor-in-chief for the Appleton North High School student newspaper.
Hi, my name is Nimrat Sodi, and I'm a senior at Appleton North. School overcrowding has become a more pressing issue in recent years, as we've seen classrooms overflow and closets transformed into teaching spaces. However, there has been some significant backlash towards the coming referendum. What are your thoughts on the district referendum? And for those who disagree, why are you swayed towards this perspective?
Thank you. I'll comment on 3 elements of the referendum, all of which are important to me. The school district is changing in terms of where kids live, and in particular, we're having a lot more kids in the northern part of the school district than we used to, particularly north of US 41. So we do need another elementary up there and to service that area, and that's an important part of the referendum. The second is that we believe that kids in the middle schools will feel a more inclusive atmosphere if we can move sixth graders into the middle schools along with the seventh and the eighth graders. So I support that also. And I've seen a lot of data that shows that the culture does work better if you have those 3 grades there. But there's another element of the referendum we're looking at is that, and that is reducing class sizes for the first 2 grades down to about 20 kids per class. So grades 1 and 2 would be smaller. And we have solid research evidence that shows that with smaller classes, kids learn better. And if you get them started in reading and math at a higher level, that success will continue through the later grades. So I support all of those elements of the referendum.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Kirsten Mott, senior at Appleton East High School and editor of the student newspaper.
A lot of change has happened within the last few years. School districts must adapt faster than ever. What is your main goal for your first year on the school board?
Well, I'm running for year 10 on the school board. I've been on it for 9. A top priority for me is to return the climate in all of our schools to as near a normal as we can. In other words, as close to what we had prior to the introduction of the COVID problem. And I have 3 suggestions on how we might do that. Number 1, I think we need to move the entire school district as close to natural immunity and vaccination as we possibly can. If the total of vaccination and natural immunity is higher than it is, perhaps 10% higher, that would move us much closer to herd immunity. Requiring vaccination may ultimately be necessary, but it's a last resort and we're not there yet. Number 2, I'd like to see us invest in high efficiency ventilation systems in our schools to reduce the concentration of airborne viruses. Number 3, I want us to achieve a consensus in our community on the science around COVID-19 and methods to control this virus on a continuing basis. In the short term, we probably will continue to need mitigation. I voted to mandate masking in the district because the threat level was high and keeping kids safe is a top priority for me. But when the volume of cases declines, I'll be open to relaxing this max mandate.
Thank you.
For students and staff.
Many experts believe that effective teachers have the highest influence on student achievement. What approach do you propose for the Appleton Area School District to attract and retain qualified, effective teachers?
It is a top priority and it relates right back to the vision of the kid walking off the stage at age 18, ready for the future. Educators, that includes paraprofessionals, are absolutely central to that effort. I recommend 4 actions. Number 1, I would build awareness in our community of the challenges facing today's educators. Number 2, we've got to keep salaries competitive. Wisconsin school districts are facing a severe problem with salary increases for the coming year. Year 2 of this biennial budget badly underfunds us. And since salaries and benefits comprise about 80% of a school district's budget, compensation could be affected. Our district has a healthy reserve and we're going to need to dip into it next year. Number 3, we need to continue encouraging graduating seniors to pursue careers in education. The district has established launch studios at all 3 high schools, and we need to continue those efforts. Number 4, we need to encourage the community to elevate teaching to a high level and recognize those who pursue that profession. I support educator recognition programs that promote and publicize the contributions of our teachers.
Thank you. What are the leadership responsibilities of school board members in collaboration and building consensus with administration, parents, teachers, and community?
The board, we're talking now about what board members do, and that is a big priority with me too, because it's through the board that we set the tone and the climate that helps us graduate kids with the skills that they need. One board leadership skill is collaboration. That's a quality that I worked hard on when I led the Friends of Appleton Schools, who helped pass the 2014 referendum. That referendum funded the purchase of computers for all of our 15,000 students, which has enabled them to receive instruction throughout the pandemic. To build that collaboration, I needed to bring together not only the staff and the community, but also businesses and the Appleton Education Association. That's our union. Secondly, the consensus among the board is a big deal. The 7 of us have different points of view on how to achieve K through 12 education. I've worked hard to build a consensus among those 7. A success was that we brought in a new system of governance that we are currently using, which will hold promise for the future. Finally, I led the Business Services Committee for 7 years, and during that period, the committee achieved significant savings in healthcare plan design, workman's compensation, and energy usage.
Thank you. Thank you for your answer. What safety precautions do you support to keep all students and staff healthy and safe? And what do you not support?
Well, number 1 is protection against the virus, and I've already mentioned that, so I don't want to go back through that again. There's a risk, we still have a risk of school shootings that we've seen at other school districts. To minimize the risk of those shootings, I support the current prohibition on firearms within 1,000 feet of a school. I oppose bills currently in the legislature that would loosen this prohibition. We need to make sure we have the facility improvements, like moving front offices to school entrances so staff can observe incoming persons. Shatterproof glass helps, and security cameras do also. We've implemented ALICE training for staff that prepares them to respond if a shooter appears, and I endorse that. We've built relationships between staff, students, and school resource officers, and I'm pleased with that. And we also need and have done emotional health awareness and training to prepare students and staff for the stress that would come if we had a violent act.
Thank you. What are your thoughts on the curriculum development process and assuring that curricula are culturally responsive and inclusive?
Our new governance system is a good way for the board to oversee curricula development because we set objectives once a year about how we will help kids, what courses are needed to help kids become academically, socially, and emotionally prepared for graduation. So that's the way we do it. We look through policies about courses in a variety of areas, and we can talk about what's needed and what's not yet there. I mentioned that we've started this new governance system, and one development that's already obvious is that in our objective setting, we now are including involvement and participation measures. So for example, with music, we now look at how many kids are involved in some sort of a music co-curricular. And the same for sports and the same for theater and the other fine arts. So we're now looking at objectives to make sure kids are getting the kind of involvement in not only the academic areas, but also the social and emotional curricular areas that will help them prepare. And I'm very proud of that.
Thank you. The school board will be hiring a new superintendent of schools. What do you think about the process being used and the community survey results? What would you be looking for in a superintendent?
The process is sound. We talked first of all about looking solely internally versus going outside. And the board had some disagreement on that. So we decided that the overall process would be more creditable to the community if we went outside. So we did have a consensus on that, and that's what we're doing. There have been a number of community input sessions scheduled, and that's helped us develop a profile for the superintendent. And that profile information is wonderful input for the board in helping us decide who we should ultimately select. Finally, we're going to have three different groups interviewing the candidates. The board will interview the candidates, a group of staff people will, and also a group of community people. And then the board will bring together all of the input and conclusions from those three groups. I think that's an excellent process too. I might say this effort is quite necessary because the superintendent is a central person in the school district.
Okay, thank you. Final question. Why should voters choose you for the Appleton Area School Board?
I believe in our vision, and I believe that we can have every kid graduate academically, emotionally, and socially ready for the rest of his or her life. We are not there yet. One of the wonderful strengths of our district is the variety of coursework that we offer to kids in academics and co-curricular areas. But we have a significant weakness, and that is that not every kid graduates ready for the future. We've got a student body of over 15,000 children, and we're not yet successful with every single one of them. So a reason to select me is if you agree with me, if you think also that every single kid can be prepared for the future, then I hope you will look at what I'm looking at and help me push forward. We have a ways to go.
Thank you. A thank you to Jim Bowman for taking the time to share your responses with the Appleton Area School District voters.